So I'm a used car dealer and I sell cars that are $5,000 and under. And today I'm at a used car dealer auction. There's a few things that are happening today at this auction that cause me a lot of concern for this car market. It's actually a setup for disaster for a lot of these new car franchise dealers, used car dealers just like myself, and it's going to cause prices to come down over the next few months in a big way. The first thing I'm seeing is that we're seeing a lot fewer of new car trades actually showing up at auction. What does that mean? Well, how do cars wind up here at these auctions? Well, in a large majority of these vehicles, they are new car dealer trade-ins, and that means when you go and take your 2005 Toyota Camry to a new car store to buy a brand new Camry, well, that new car dealer doesn't want to sell that 2005 Toyota Camry or that Nissan Altima that's like a 2011 that's got 150,000 miles on it on their dealership. So what do? Well, they send it straight here to auction for car dealers just like myself to bid on it and to buy it for us to sell on our lots. So if we're seeing fewer of those trade-ins actually come to auction right now, then that means a lot of these new car franchise stores are having a much harder time actually moving through their product, selling vehicles. And we know that they just went through an extremely good time in the market because we had a lot of pull forward in demand. There were a lot of people that bought new vehicles over the last 2 or 3 months to get ahead of tariffs, to get ahead of price increases. But what we've noticed in the last couple weeks now, that sales have actually fallen off a cliff, and I'm seeing it here at these used car dealer auctions, and we're going to be the first ones to see it because these franchise dealers, they're very quick about getting these cars turned around. When they take them in on trade, it's usually less than a week that they have those cars sitting at auction ready to be sold. They want to stay with the market. They're trading in for a certain amount today, so if the market's going to go down a month from now, well, they don't want to hold on to their car for a month to be able to let the market move because they traded for that car at a certain amount, and they know that they need to get that amount out of that car, and that's the number that they put on it. So a lot of times they move fast. It takes less than a week for them to get these cars to auction for us to bid way too much on these things. But that's the one big thing that I'm seeing. Number two is I'm seeing that there are a lot more independent dealers running cars here at auction. And if you look behind me, I'll actually flip the camera around. All of these cars right here, and then on the other side over there, those are all independent cars. And on this side over here, we have like a repo lane that's up there. We got a lot of repos coming in the system too. But on the other side, there's only 2 or 3 other rows that are new car franchise stores. So that means about, what, 35 to 40% of the cars that are running here today are independent dealers. Independent dealers are just like me. Small, used, independent car dealers. They don't have a Toyota. They're not selling brand new Toyotas. They're not selling brand new Fords. They're buying cars here at car auctions and then they're retailing them. So why would they have cars that they're trying to run back through auction when they could make so much more money retailing them? Well, the sad fact is right now is that everyone's slow. I'm a car dealer and I sell cars that are $5,000 and under, and we're really slow right now. So a lot of these mid-tier dealers that are selling the middle range of product, you think like this Cadillac right here. You think about, well, here's a good example. It's an independent dealer because they still got their numbers up here. It's a 2017 Ford, what's this, Escape? Yeah. And it's $69.95. I hate that pricing method, by the way. When we price our cars, it's like $2,500, $3,000, $3,500. I don't like all the extra. That's a video for a different time. But why would these dealers bring these cars when they could absolutely take them and retail them on their lot and make way more money on them? Well, it's because they need cash and they need it now. If they're very slow, just like we are right now, then a lot of these dealers that are bringing cars out here, they have floor plans. They have credit lines that they have to satisfy. So if they're going through a very slow time right now, which is what we're seeing in the market, then they can have a situation where they have 30, 40 cars sitting on their dealership and they didn't move very many cars last month. So if they're not turning and burning these cars, well, just like you would swipe a credit card and pay interest every month on that credit card when you don't pay it off, these car dealers are going through a very similar scenario where they have cars sitting on their lot. They swipe the credit card to get those things, And now every month they're having to pay interest on every one of these vehicles. So as the market's going down and as the values of these cars are quickly going down, and on the wholesale level, that's what we're seeing, their expenses on these cars are actually going up. Even though they're not working on these cars, they're not putting any money into them, fixing them, they're not doing putting extra gas because they're getting test drives, nothing like that. Just for the simple fact that they're sitting on their lot collecting dust, they're running up their actual money that they have in the cars because they're paying so much interest on each and every one of these. And most car dealers are broke, and they have to go this route to be able to finance their inventory if they want to have any inventory at all. So if they want to satisfy those credit lines, if they don't want to lose those credit lines, then what do? Well, when they have to come up with cash, this is exactly what they do. And this is why it's a bad situation for the car market, because you're having this influx of cars that really shouldn't be here show up at auction. And well, a lot of you would say, well, isn't this a good thing for you, Brandon, as a used car dealer, because you're getting more inventory at these dealer auctions? Not really, because a lot of these independent dealers, if they're bringing a car to the auction that was on their lot, well, there's probably something undesirable about that car, or they have way too much money in it, or maybe there's something that needs to be fixed on that car. Because if they have a great car that people want at a decent price, it's going to sell on their lot. It's going to sell quickly. It's not going to go through that situation of what I just talked about, where they have a car sitting on their lot 2, 3, 4 months, and they have to continuously pay interest on that car. That's not a situation that they're going to have to go through, because that car's going to sell, right? So these are all cars that if they can't sell it on their lot, then what makes me think I can sell it on my lot? There's something materially wrong with these cars, whether it's just undesirable, need something fixed, whatever, that these car dealers are having to dump them here. Because when they go through this time frame, when they're really slow and they're going through their inventory list, when they need to turn quick cash, they're not picking the cream of the crop, right? I've heard it explained as these cars are going to be the cream of the crap, right? So we're having these cars. I don't even look at these independent cars. I want to deal with trade-ins, which are up here. So when these cars come here, what happens is all these other car dealers know the exact same thing that I know about these cars, and that they are undesirable. They can't sell them for whatever reason. Doesn't matter what the reason is. They know that on their lot, they can't sell that car. So I can't sell that car. Every other car dealer knows when this car comes to auction that they're not going to be able to sell it on their lot. So these cars bring substantially less than what those new car dealer trade-in cars bring. And in a lot of cases, when these cars were bought the first time from these independent dealers, they were new car trade-ins. So that means they paid a premium for these cars when they came to auction, and now when they bring them back to auction 2, 3, 4 months later, they're going to bring a lot less, because dealers like myself are not even going to raise my hand on these things. So you're going to have less competition for these cars that they're trying to sell, so they're going to bring less. And then on top of that, you add in that the market's going down, so they're losing even more money. And then on top of that, you add in the interest that they've had to pay on these cars to actually keep them on their lot. So they're losing even more money. So just put all those three things together and just imagine how much money in these couple of rows right here of all these independent car dealers, how much money has been lost on these cars, to interest, to time, to just the market going down a little bit. And you can put together this recipe for disaster for a lot of these car dealers. And if you like to hear about stuff that I'm seeing in the market from a used car dealer perspective, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. I do it all the time. And let's talk about the number 3 thing that I'm seeing a lot more at these auctions right now. And that is no sales and if bids are becoming a big time epidemic here at these auctions. Now, what am I talking about? No sale is the easy one to explain. Car goes to the auction. A seller will put a reserve on a car. Let's say a seller wants to sell this car. They say, okay, I will not take less than, what's reasonable on this car? Probably $6,000, $5,000, $6,000. They put that number on there. And the car only brings $3,000. It only brings $3,500 in lane from these bidders just like me that are running up the numbers on these cars. Well, then that seller no sells the car because it didn't even come close to the amount that they actually wanted for the car. And we're seeing this happen more often right now And you're going to see that more often when you're having a downtrending market, when wholesale prices are coming down, because even on these new car franchise store sides, whenever they trade in for a car, well, they might be trading in at numbers that they could have sold that car for a month ago. They might have traded for almost the exact same car a month ago, and it brought $6,000 a month ago. But now, because the market has gotten softer and because dealers are slower and they're not able to pay as much for cars right now, well, that car that they got $6,000 for a month ago, it might only bring $5,000 this month. So those sellers have to then adjust their thinking, but that takes time. So that car that they thought they can get $6,000 for, well, they're going to no-sell it, and because they need $6,000, but it only brought $5,000. They're $1,000 apart. Maybe this is just not the auction for it. But there's also a saying here in the car market, and that's first money, best money. So in a lot of cases, you're going to get the most money the first time you actually run that car. So what happens the next week? Typically, that car that they wanted $6,000 for, it only brought $5,000. Maybe they adjust their thinking and they say, okay, well, we can drop it down to $5,500. That's our bottom line on it. And then the next week, maybe it only brings $4,500. And this trend continues to happen week after week for a lot of these cars. So now let's go to the situation of the if bid. Same thing. They want $6,000 for the car. It only brings $5,000. But in that case, they say, okay, well, we're a little bit negotiable on it. The auction calls the seller after the auction, calls the buyer, and then they do this back and forth. Usually the buyer will say, well, okay, they want $6,000. I'll pay $5,300. I'll come up $300 on it. Seller comes back and says, you know what, we can't do that, but we'll drop it down to $5,500. Buyer comes up to $5,500 and they get the deal done. That's why they say they put on an if bid, but it's also called a phone call. And it's basically just because you have to make the phone calls after the auction. But with these things running rampant now at these auctions, what we see is that it's setting up for a downtrending market. This is what happens when you enter into a market where wholesale prices are going down, retail prices are going down, car dealers are getting slower, buyers are less willing to actually pay for cars. You just have a weaker market. And all these things are showing us, they're giving us clues to show us where the market's going. New franchise dealers not bringing trade-ins. That means they're not selling as many cars. Independent dealers bringing more cars to the auction, meaning they need cash. They're not selling cars retail, so they need to sell it to somebody. They bring it to auction to try to dump it. And then three, you have cars that the transactions aren't actually happening because the buyers, the bidders like myself, were not willing to pay the higher amounts that the sellers are wanting. So the sellers over the next month or so are going to have to readjust. And when I say readjust, I mean prices have to come down. Wholesale prices always move first before you see it in retail. We're seeing wholesale prices go down, retail soon to follow.